Hey there viewers, it's Charlie, I'm back again, and welcome back to Armada Week, where I'm reviewing every Transformers Armada figure that I currently own. And today's review will be on Armada Frost, or in this case, the Powerlinx recolor. So, as you can see, this particular version of Frost, well, normally Frost is supposed to be a gray color, but here, this particular version of the figure is more aligned with Generation 1 Dirge's colors, which is why I repurposed this guy as Armada Dirge. Yeah, technically Armada doesn't have a version of Dirge, but that's what I repurposed this guy as. The reason why I actually do this is because, well, the Ask Vector Prime Facebook page actually also repurposed this toy as Armada Dirge. So yeah. But let's just have a 360 of this guy like we always do. Here you can see the back with a Minicon port, which I'll show you later. We have these two thrusters on the back. See the tail fins. On the top, we can see this thing indicating that this is a VTOL jet, vertical takeoff and landing, just like the original Generation 1 Dirge, which is amazing. We can see, well, this light purple Decepticon insignia. Why is it light purple? It should be dark purple. Underneath, where just like with every other jet Transformer ever, we got bits of kibble, just robot parts showing in the jet mode. And that pretty much does it for this guy's jet mode, aside from a gimmick, if my phone will cooperate, because it's tilting, but here we can see on the sides these blue missiles, and these are push missiles, so, yep. Every time someone's recording something, the thing they're reviewing has to be an absolute dick, but, well, if we just look. There we go. And if I just get the missiles and put them back, doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter which missile goes on which side, because they're both the same. Now, before we move on, we have to introduce the usual Minicon. In this case, this missile truck. And his name, or his official name, is Inferno. I mean, why would they call this guy Inferno if he's a missile truck? Yeah, just like with Scavenger, Smokescreen, and Sideswipe, I don't feel like the name fits, but whatever. Now, just like how this guy was repurposed as Dirge, the Ask Vector Prime Facebook page repurposed this as a Minicon named Grapple. Haha, I get it, Inferno, Grapple, very funny, but from what I can remember, in Japan, this guy was called Thunder. I'm pretty sure that was his name. Whereas with this guy was still named Frost in Japan. But these guys can combine in vehicle mode, because if you remember that port here, we can actually stick Inferno or Grapple on. I'm just going to call him Grapple from now on. We just stick Grapple on, Dirge, and I'm just going to call him Dirge for the rest of the video, just to mildly infuriate you. See, we get this missile truck on a jet, which honestly doesn't even make that much sense. But pushing the Minicon back fires another missile. And yes, I actually have all the missiles for this guy for once. That's amazing, isn't it? But just detaching the Minicon, the Transformer, him, you unpeg the arms and, well, normally I think you're supposed to have it so this stays on his back, but this actually comes off, and pressing this white button is what causes the missile to fire. Normally what I do is I display Grapple or Inferno. Call him whatever you want. I normally display him with this on his right arm. And then you just move down his legs. And what I do is I turn him around at the waist for just an extra bit of transformation. And here we have Inferno or Grapple in his, well, robot mode. And let's have a quick look at this guy before we get to Frost or Dirge. Here we can see his head, where it looks like he's got a monocle, which is cool. Here we can see the Minicon port, which actually pushes down to activate the white button. And our articulation is just, the head moves, well, the head doesn't move. The arms move, the feet move, the waist swivels, and that's it. There's nothing at the head. But that pretty much does it for Inferno, or Grapple, Inferno/Grapple. Let's just get him into this vehicle mode for another gimmick in robot mode later. And let's move on to either Frost or Dirge, depending on what you prefer. To transform here, we move up. We move this front landing gear. We take these bits of the jet and actually move them like so. It's very similar to Cybertron's Starscream, if you remember that behemoth. Like, I wonder how Starscream would actually look next to Fortress Maximus, the G1 guy. We're getting off topic. We take the sides of the jet and unplug them. With this bit, we move that back, and as other reviews have showed, most notably Bolt Matrix has reviewed this guy, and he says that this bit can come off rather easily. It's only if you squeeze it. I have never had this bit come off by itself. But we take the thrusters and move them down his legs, and something rather cool. If you remember the jet cockpit, it actually lifts up. Turn that around. Turn that around and lift that. And if I can get this guy standing, that is pretty much Frost or Dirge in robot mode. Ugh. So yeah, you can see where you can pretty much see why I prefer to call this guy Dirge. Because come on, his colors, blue, burgundy, that's just Dirge. Granted, it's sort of a reversal of Dirge, but it reminds me of Dirge nonetheless. Now, I actually also have the card for this guy. And as you can see, the card for this guy has Frost in a more Generation 1-esque color scheme. And when I get to reviewing Generation 1 Dirge in the future, or Generation 1 Frost, sorry, I'm getting confused, I'll hopefully get this guy out so we can compare them. In fact, you don't even need to wait for a review on G1 Frost. Hang on. Here, I actually have Generation 1 Frosts. So here we see the two Frosts together. Now, the reason why I have G1 Frost as a cone head, not only because it's part of the cartoon, but it's for space. Normally, officially in the instructions for this guy, and what I normally do is I lift that down, because I think the cone head design looks silly in this toy, but here we have Armada Frost compared with Generation 1 Frost. And no, I am not comparing Inferno with G1 Inferno. Anyways, having a look at this guy, we can see the differences are many. For example, the thrusters, the back of the jet, are on Armada Frost's hands, whereas the G1 Frost, they end up as heels. The VTOL section was on G1 Frost's wings, instead of on the top of the jet with Armada Frost. We can actually see that G1 Frost has the Seeker cockpit on his robot mode, whereas with this Frost he doesn't have any cockpit kibble. And we can even see the wings are different, where these are more upright, similar to how the Seekers were in the cartoon. I am not going to transform these guys back into their vehicle mode, because I'm very lazy, so sorry about that. But if we just get G1 Frost out the way now, and bring this Frost back into the limelight, let's have a look at Armada Frost's head. So you can see that this Frost still has the cone head of the original, and I remember in the cartoon, Frost was constantly called Squid Head. That's not me saying that, that's the cartoon, but yeah, the cone head design up close looks sort of weird, but what you can do is move it sort of more downwards, but that leaves a gap in his head, so, and this thing's just... Here we can see that this Frost actually has a mouth plate. I mean, if anything, it's sort of like it's like some guy in Doom Guy's helmet. It's like a snowman in Doom Guy's helmet with a jet cone on the top. That's what this head looks like, and just laying down while I get this guy, my phone back on to the stands. Now for gimmicks, or I'll show you his articulation first. Head can swivel, arms can move out and go an elbow, waist swivel, technically a knee, and some foot articulation, and the knees can also swivel. So that's his articulation. Rather posable compared to other Armada figures. Like, this guy actually has leg articulation. Take that, Scavenger. This guy, well, unlike Smokescreen, this guy has no hands whatsoever. But for gimmicks, we have one. If you see this on his stomach, well, turn his head round. With his arms, move them. Turn his waist 180 if you can, and with the and then turn his legs to the side so the missiles don't get in the way. And hang on, I'm just gonna move this back so you can see this better. Here you can see this bit actually moves up, and what we'll do is get good old Inferno, or Inferno / Grapple. If we attach this onto Inferno's, if we attach this onto Frost and move this up and down, I'm not sure how I'm even going to show this, but moving this up and down will do this. It's supposed to be some sort of, it's supposed to spin the wings around. Yeah, it's supposed to just spin the wings around with some loud ratcheting. Yeah, that's rather stupid in my opinion. Yeah, it's a rather stupid looking gimmick, honestly. It's just, well, but anyways, that's pretty much all I had to say about this guy. Do I recommend him? Well, that's actually kind of hard to say, because a part of me wants to say, yeah, this guy is fun, he looks cool, But another part of me says, well, I mean, come on, the gimmick, the spinning wing gimmick, even the fact that it looks like he's got a coat tail with what was the jet cockpit. And before all you guys in the comments say this bit comes off, why did it come off? As you can see, I've actually had no trouble standing this guy or his Minicon, so he gets a star for that. So my opinion is, if you find this guy cheap, then yeah, go ahead and get him. Whether it's the original Thrust or this repaint, or even the G1 themed color repaint, because that was actually released. If you find him cheap, get him. That's all I have to say. That concludes my review on this guy, and this is Charlie Young, signing off.